This is Marilyn McKenna and Audrey Slade, and we are the, what are we calling ourselves? The Audrey and Marilyn show?
If anything, the Marilyn and Audrey show, if anything.
No, we agreed we were going to call this, which is a podcast, but we're also doing a video of it.
Right.
We were going to call this The Messy Middle.
Yeah.
And we'll get into that in a second as to why we're calling it The Messy Middle, but for starters, let's kind of go back to the beginning, because some people who maybe have been following me, and Lord knows you're probably wildly more popular than me. But for those who don't, we'll do a little introduction. So I'm Marilyn McKenna. I'm a writer, a blogger, a mother of 4, and I've been married to my college sweetheart Rob for almost 30 years. Which is only remarkable in that I'm only 29 years old. So
it's amazing, really.
I'm not very good at math, but I'm not sure how that works. But anyway, okay, so let's hear you.
I'm Audrey Slade. I am a Pacific Northwest transplant. I come from the great state of Maine, Old Town, Maine to be specific, makers of canoes, and grew up in the area around Stephen King, and I swear he's not as creepy as you all think that he is. I have a crazy scientist for a husband. I have a almost 13-year-old daughter, which is absolutely remarkable considering that I myself just, left high school myself.
Barely out of your teens.
Clearly.
Yeah.
I mean, both of us, we are mathematical wonders and oddities. And I live my life here in the Pacific Northwest with my crazy husband, my preteen daughter, which is probably the only thing I'm allowed to say about her without getting in trouble.
Yeah.
And our 7-year-old dog, Jackson.
Aww, nice. Okay, so the messy middle. So we decided to call it this mostly because this is sort of, how this is going to be about kind of how we strive to be our best and our happiest versions of ourselves, in the messy middle. Because what Audrey and I have in common, and we're going to talk about this in this episode, is what brought us together are what makes us kindred spirits.
Really.
Sisters in psychosis.
Sisters in psychosis.
As you so lovingly refer to it, is that we've both lost 120 pounds. Mm-hmm. So we know and we both kept it off for quite a long time. You're 12 years?
Oh, I'm 12 years.
12 years, and I'm almost 9.
Yep.
And so we live in the messy middle. But I mean, like, who doesn't, right?
Right.
I mean, even no matter what side you're on of weight loss, if you're a before, if you're an after, if you're in the middle, if weight loss isn't an issue for you, I mean, it's all messy.
Well, and we live in this world of before and after. We don't end up talking about the fact that the middle is actually where you have to live your life. You have to find your place in that middle because everyone has that, rock bottom point where there's the beginning, that's the part that they're starting, and everyone is always striving for and just focusing on that end.
Yeah.
And the reality is that that end there's no end.
Yeah.
And so actually you have to get comfortable in kind of living in that middle space.
We're going to jump right ahead then to that question that I was going to ask you, because
let's just get to it.
Let's get it on.
Let's go.
No, because so I wanted to talk to you about the fact that that we all sort of picture life after weight loss as kind of like having crossed the finish line, right? And we're both runners now. Yep. Both injured runners, but runners nonetheless. And so that finish line is a really kind of vivid way to demarcate the race itself from the after the race. Mm-hmm. And everything after the race is good. That's when you get your bagel. That's the only time I ever get to eat bagels. Oh. And it's over, and you get your medal or your whatever, your T-shirt, and
happily ever after, right?
Right, and you own that victory from then on out, and you don't ever have to do that again if you don't want to. This doesn't work like that at all.
No.
Yeah.
No, it's complete. Yeah. It's a complete antithesis of everything that we've that we've believed, that we thought.
Yeah.
And we're also led to believe that because think about all the TV commercials you see on. Oh. You see all the commercials, and what do you see?
Don't even get me started on infomercials.
We can get started on a whole bunch of things, but you see the before and you see the after.
Yeah.
And and don't they always look so much happier?
No, my favorite is the one where it's an infomercial for it. I can't even tell you which weight loss system, but they have God love her, the fat woman,
Uh-huh.
and then she swirls around, and when she stops, she's skinny.
Yeah.
Or she's biting into a cheeseburger, and when she swirls around, she's
magic.
skinny.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So I mean, and the verbiage that they use in these infomercials is all like, lose the weight for good. You'll
Yes.
lose it for good,
Yes.
as if you
Be
know.
happier. Get into that swimsuit. Get ready, and yeah, it's true. Yes, you can wear bathing suits, but spoiler alert, you can wear bathing suits at any size as long as you're comfortable.
Right.
In it. So, but it's the implication that your life is going to be good once you get to that point.
Yeah.
Everything's because then you're done.
Yeah.
And the reality is far less sexy. The reality is
Does fat ever melt off? This is what I want to know. They always say that.
Yeah, no,
the
fat
fat
just
just melts off. It never freaking melts off.
No, it doesn't.
Ever.
No, you sit there. No.
Neither does the cellulite.
No.
Damn it.
No, and the skin doesn't just go away either.
Yeah.
God, commercials are ridiculous.
Yeah.
No, we've been misled.
Yeah.
And the thing is that we want to find that little ray of hope because it's hard to admit that it's yourself.
Yeah.
It's hard to admit that there's a problem that you've got in yourself, and you have to always think that it's something situational. That
Right.
boy, if I
Do you
just
think
find
if
this
there-
one thing,
Right. There's this perfect thing out. There's this
Thing.
perfect system out there, and I
Yeah.
just haven't found it yet.
and I just haven't found it. And
Yeah.
then when that diet or system inevitably lets you down, then you can kind of buffer your own feelings a little bit, being I didn't fail.
Right. The diet failed.
The diet
Right.
failed.
Right.
And and it's all because we don't get that perfect after that we're all expecting,
Yeah.
because that's what the commercials have.
Yeah.
And the reality is that we're somewhere in the middle.
So
always.
what's the after like? I mean, what's the after like for you? We haven't even gotten to the before yet, but we'll get to that.
Yeah. Well,
So
because
tell me about the after.
the after, I think, is the part that we need to talk about more.
Yeah.
To be honest, because I think everybody's heard the stories of how tragic and how horrible and how uncomfortable being fat is. And by the way, we don't shy away from the word fat.
No.
I will never shy away from the
No.
word fat.
Yeah.
And I don't take it as offensive. I don't take it as it's reality. It is something that I had. It's not something I am. I am a brunette, or I am
Right.
witty. I can be all of these things, but I am
You're
not
very witty.
fat. Yes. Yes, and I was very fat. But the after, we all know the before.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has lived in some version of the before, but we don't talk enough about the after.
Yeah.
In my opinion, because we're not ready for the after. And the after is never ending. It
Yeah.
is constant, and it is full of ups and downs, and it's hard.
So if weight loss isn't a straight line down,
No.
then maintenance, if you want to call it that,
Yeah.
isn't a flat line either.
No.
I mean, it's like
Yep. And there are times that it goes up, and there's
Yeah.
times that it goes down. And you know what? You can be somebody who has lost 120 pounds and still fall off the wagon, as it
Yeah.
were. You can still have those difficulties.
Yeah.
It's never ending. And
Yeah.
I think the other thing that's a big tragedy is that we convince ourselves that, oh, well, once I lose the weight, I'll be happy. Or once I
yeah.
lose the weight, I will be more courageous, or I'll be all those things. Unfortunately, a lot of the times, we can rid ourselves of the fat. That's just kind of a numbers game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if we want to get very specific about it,
Yeah.
losing weight is a numbers game.
Yeah.
And if you look at weight loss just like that, it's very easy. But the problem is that there's this brain, there's this thing that's going on inside.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times, the thing that enabled you to become fat in the first place, you haven't necessarily fixed that. If you don't fix that,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if you lose all the weight. You're
Yeah.
still not going to be, comfortable. You're still not going to be happy.
Yeah.
And
Did
I
you go
wasn't at
up and
first.
down a lot? Did you yo-yo a lot?
I did for the first 5 or 6 years.
Okay.
I did a lot of yo-yoing. I was
No, I mean like your whole life before
God,
you
yeah.
lost weight. Did you?
from when I was really little.
Really?
Because, I got practiced in starving. Mm-hmm. And
Yeah,
that's
we're all experts at dieting.
we're all experts at dieting. And I mean, I started at a very young age.
How young?
I remember starting to be aware of my weight when I was about 8.
Yeah.
And
I was 7. Yeah.
and I was younger than my daughter. I was probably about 10 when my grandfather, and by the way, most well-meaning, most it was said and it was done out of love.
Yeah.
But he had offered me $100 in cash if I could lose 20 pounds.
Wow. When you were how old?
10. I was about somewhere in 10.
Wow.
So it was always
Yeah.
It was always there. And so then what ends up happening, I would starve myself for a while.
Yeah.
And then inevitably that never worked out, and I would go back to...
Yeah.
And so, you go up and down, and you, at least for me,
Yeah.
you slip up that one little bit, and then it's just like, oh.
Yeah, it opens the floodgates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Well, I was always a real black and white kind of thinking about, what I was eating. It was restricting feels like control to me.
Yes.
Because I don't feel a sense of control about what I eat, and I still struggle with this constantly. I have to be really careful now that I've lost weight. I have to be really careful not to over control, because that's my kind of comfort zone. I know I can stay at a comfortable weight if I control.
Right.
But that gets really kind of mentally messed up too.
Yeah.
And as does over exercising.
Yep.
And pushing yourself too hard and making that so much a focus of your life that it kind of overtakes other things and becomes its own kind of unhealthy, obsessive type of thing. But some of my earliest memories of any kind are about sneaking food.
Yeah.
Are about sneaking down. We had a basement pantry because 1960s kitchen, it was pretty small.
Sure.
And the pantry in the kitchen was pretty small, so we had sort of an auxiliary pantry in the basement. And I discovered it, and I discovered that there was stuff down there that I could get into. And believe it or not, I mean, this just sounds so weird, but I think I took a screwdriver and I just poked a hole into a can of sweetened condensed milk, and I was I don't know, 5 or 6, and sucked it down. Now, nobody teaches you to do stuff like that. That's just, I don't know, some sort of like chemical imbalance or something in my brain. And so my whole life has been trying to control that demon. And obviously there's, as I was growing up, there are lots and lots of messaging. We all get lots and lots of messaging about food and about what our bodies are supposed to look like.
Right.
But it all ends up conflicting with itself, because all the messaging you get about your body is that you're supposed to be slim, and these days you're supposed to be athletic, because that's really in these days.
Yes.
And so all of that kind of conflicted with my really, really strong desire to eat all this stuff.
Right.
And so obviously it got the better of me for a long time.
Well, and it also makes you feel like, what's wrong with me? Because I don't know about you, like, I'm actually, they say that I was a stereotypical, funny fat kid. That's what it really came down to, is that because you need to deflect and you need to do that.
Right.
But, the more reflection I started to do is that part of the reason I think that I developed the being funny was because I kind of felt like I needed to hide the anger.
Yeah.
I had a lot of anger, I'm starting to understand, because I didn't understand why I wasn't like everyone else.
Yeah.
Because I also had the friends, who could sit there and eat all of the Twinkies. And you'd watch these kids and you'd watch people, and it just seemed like they could just eat whatever they wanted. And no one seemed to have the same problem. No one else had the thighs rubbing together and making the burn marks and
corduroy?
Right.
God.
Oh, summertime. Don't even get me started on the summertime. It's just like, why do you have this red rash?
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
And I spent a lot of time being really, really angry about it. And then that's when the behavior started for me, when I would start to sneak food.
Yeah.
Because then it was shameful. Eating became very shameful, and you didn't want people to see you eat, because it was like a condemnation every time that they did. And and that's when I would always offer, as the dutiful daughter that I was, to help clean up the table. I would offer to clean up the table, so while my family went into the other room to go watch TV, I would be cleaning the table. And by cleaning the table, I mean shoving it in my grocery hole as quickly as humanly possible, so that nobody could notice it. Not actually tasting anything.
Right.
And then you go back to feeling bad about yourself because, that's not what a good girl does. That's not what. And the messaging that we get, this is what a good girl looks like. This is what this is what's desirable. This is what it is. And
yeah.
And I'm none of these things.
Yeah.
I've got the crooked teeth. I've got all of my little Irish freckles, and I've got this huge, gap in my teeth, and I'm just there's bulges and there's things, and I don't look right. So, and I had a teeny tiny skinny brother,
Mm-hmm.
and so you had that counterpoint, and it was just.
Seems unfair.
It was really unfair.
Yeah.
It felt very unfair. And
Yeah.
I still get sucked up in the unfair. P.S. In the middle, you still get angry. Like, there
Yeah.
are still times that I'll go to a restaurant and somebody will be like, oh, great, they have bottomless fries. And I'm just, all I want to do is scream.
Oh,
I'm just
I know.
like,
I know.
why do bottomless fries exist for people and not everybody is struggling with it?
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, the after, unfortunately,
Yeah.
kind of going all the way back around, the after part of it is so horribly just tinged by the before.
Yeah.
But the thing that's crazy is that both of our befores, I mean, the reason why we're so similar is because our story is not uncommon.
Yeah.
A lot of people, I think, kind of went through a lot of these things.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people that especially struggle with weight and struggle with all of it, they started back there. And, the difference is that you have to have a lot of nerve, and you have to have a lot of ability to kind of face your demons.
So what was your catalyst for change? I
Alyssa.
what? Really?
My daughter.
Yeah.
My daughter. And it wasn't that I hadn't tried to lose weight
Mm-hmm.
prior to that. God knows, like you said, you can become an expert
Yeah.
at dieting.
Yeah.
I was...
I always say I've done everything except seances, pretty much.
I might have done a seance.
If I
Wait,
thought it would
does this work? Does
I
this
probably
work?
would have
I'm
done
sorry,
it.
we need to cut this because I have to go find a seance.
Well, we could get a Ouija board or something.
Why am I fat? But one of the things that I started to realize, I was in a very bad marriage, and I had a little teeny tiny daughter, and I realized that I had to get us out of this really bad situation. And it was acknowledging and understanding that her worldview was about to be shaped by what she was going to be surrounded with. And I knew that if anything ever happened to her in the situation we were in, it was no longer going to be my ex-husband's fault. It was going to be my fault, because I knew there was something going on, and I knew there was a problem, and
Yeah.
I needed to step up and protect my daughter. And then there was that moment of thinking, well, if I don't want her growing up thinking that this is what a marriage looks like,
Yeah.
then I also need to say, okay, what does a normal meal look like? What does movement look like? What do all of these things look like? And I had to really look at myself and say, okay, you're a size 26. You can't walk up the stairs without having to turn sideways. It's hard to bend down and pick her up. It hurt to walk around, and I was only 23.
Wow.
I mean,
Yeah.
and at some point you have to kind of look inside and say, well, is that what's going to be good for her?
Yeah.
And so my catalyst was, okay, I need to take care of her. Plus, I can also be a little bit stubborn. And, no, I know,
That's
right?
not possible.
Not me. But one of the last things that, one of the last conversations that I had with my ex-husband, he was explaining to me the reason why I could not leave this situation.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why is that he said that I was fat and ugly, and that nobody would want a fat, ugly single mom. And so I had
Wow.
to stay with him.
Yeah.
And that was pretty much the last thing I said. I was like, oh, fat, huh? All right. Okay.
Wow.
So, and that was the other part of it, where it was like, you don't get to tell me what I can and can't be anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
The-
that was
The
it.
fact that you did, that you tackled all of these problems, situations, all at the same time. You did all this concurrently. It's
Yeah.
just absolutely amazing.
It was the divorce
me.
and the diet started on the,
Yeah.
it was on the new year.
Yeah.
It was on the new year, and I went through and I had no money. I didn't have 2 nickels to rub together, as my grandfather would say. But I took all of the processed food, all of the danger foods that I had. I just removed absolutely everything from my life, because I was
Yeah.
just like, there's no place for this negative stuff in my life, and negative people and negative food can bring you down in just the same way.
Yeah. How did your family feel about it? I mean, because you were still in Maine.
I was still, they were very supportive.
Yeah.
And they were very happy for me. I mean, it is a challenge though, because sometimes to have to, how to go about saying this without it coming off and having, hate mail from my own family. Sometimes when you make a decision to make a good choice in your life, like the weight loss, other people will take it as a mirror as to things that they're doing wrong in their life.
They feel threatened by it.
And that happened a little bit. But it never was at the risk of somebody not wanting me to be happy.
Yeah.
It was always a good thing, and people were supportive, but that doesn't mean that there wasn't some food pushing every now and then.
Right.
And ultimately, everyone just wanted to make sure that we were being happy, healthy, and taken care of. And if that meant a divorce and 80 less pounds, then cool. At the time. And actually my family was incredibly proud of me, because I actually finally succeeded at something, and I didn't do it in a psycho way. So it was good.
You didn't do it in a psycho way.
It happens sometimes. Sometimes I do things kind of normal.
Oh my God. So Alyssa's been this source of inspiration to you for, her whole life.
Her whole life.
But I'll bet you anything, it kind of goes both ways, right? She's pretty darn proud of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, it's very easy for me to talk about how proud I am of her.
Yeah.
I mean, she is the reason why I'm who I am. There's just no question about that. But she's also the one that comes with me to Weight Watchers meetings sometimes. And she cheers me on at races, and she's a very age appropriate support system.
Yeah.
For me.
You guys have a great relationship.
Yeah,
I can tell from all the Facebook posts.
Well, yeah. She's also a preteen again, so we're reading that wonderful mid place of me being the devil, or she crawled in bed with me at 2:00 in the morning last night because she had a bad dream. So we're floating that fine line. I figure we're probably going to despise each other for the next 6 or 7 years, and then maybe we'll
No. It
come
doesn't
back.
take that. It doesn't take that long.
Okay, so 4 years.
It doesn't. Well, they come around like 16, 17. They start to turn into human beings again. So yeah.
Woo!
Yeah, you'll get there.
Oh,
It's
God.
good.
That's
yeah,
cool.
I think you have a good foundation though.
Yeah,
so.
she's a great kid.
Yeah.
She's a great kid.
Oh.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. Well, and I would say my kids don't spend a lot of time gushing over me and my, having accomplished my weight loss and what I have in fitness and stuff. But, being able to do that, I hope has at least taught them that's actually a really good thing to be able to do.
You modeled it for them.
I
mean,
I know, but
that's-
it still pisses them off. When I do
indeed.
It to them.
It's probably, and you know what? It'll probably still piss them off in another 10 years, and every now and then where it's like, oh,
Yeah.
no, I shouldn't.
Yeah.
No, we're
Yeah.
not going to go buy a dozen cupcakes. No.
Well, and I'm still the one who, like, when the kid tells me at 10 o'clock at night, oh, I volunteered, he says, I volunteered to bring, 50 cookies for, a class party tomorrow at 10 p.m. at night. I'm still the one who goes to Safeway and gets the,
Of course you are.
Yeah.
Because you're mom.
I know.
Yeah, but they're proud of you too. And
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look at Connor.
I know. So they're all doing really well, and the fact that they, that they're there standing at the finish line waiting for me now when I finish a race is really awesome.
Well, when your book, the night of when we had that wonderful night when you released your book, Eat Like It Matters. I mean, they were there. They were supporting. They were, They're clearly very proud of you.
Aw.
And rightfully so. And your husband's pretty proud of you too.
Well, yeah, I don't really give him a choice, but
if he knows what's good for him, he's proud of you. But
yeah, so we're gonna talk again about all kinds of other things, including I really want to get some more kind of concrete stuff about your day-to-day kind of meal planning and stuff, and especially what you do with Alyssa, because I know you guys do a lot of cooking and meal prep together,
yes.
Which I think is a big source of conflict and kind of drama in some households. So I want to talk about that. So we can do that in a future podcast.
Sure.
But in the meantime, I mean, I want to remind people that they can find us on iTunes,
Yes.
right? The Messy Middle. So and we'll get together again and we'll be messy together.
We are hot messes together. That is, you know what? The hot messy middle just didn't quite rhyme so well, but
Oh wait, I kind of like that.
game change. No, but we'll get through this together because
Yeah.
that's what we do.
We do. All right. Thanks, everybody. See you next time.
All right, here's the part where we act wacky and we tell you to subscribe.
Oh, and there's a button that you have to click.
Somewhere.
I can't see it because I'm
theory.
inside here, but
Yeah.
you're looking at it,
But
so
the internets have magic, and you subscribe here.